All right, everyone, it is 5. We're gonna go ahead and get started. A few announcements before we do begin. I want everyone to know we do have our finances set up, and we are currently accepting membership through either in person, where you can set up a meeting time to meet us to hand us your membership dues, which are going to be $25, or you can pay it directly to our PayPal through our email. And we also have an upcoming event after this one for everything to explain the MCAT. So I'm going to go ahead and put the registration for that into the group chat. Okay, perfect. And we are going to give them a couple more minutes to get everyone, and I see we still have some people joining. So we're going to wait till about 5:05.
Hello, my name's Mona Lopez. I'm suspecting that maybe you guys plan to stay muted as we present to you. So Noelle, nice to see a face to the name. We've been in communication. So my plan today is that Dr. Preek, who's the Assistant Dean to Admissions, will speak to you about our MD programs. At one point, she'll pass it over to me to present the PMAT program. I'll hand it over to Christina Renterio, who will speak to you about the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We'll then pass it over to Agnes Ataki, who will speak to you about the programs that she deals with, in addition to Arizona Indians in Medicine. And I'm not sure if we have Josie on board or if she'll be joining us later. She will discuss pre-med advising, and she has some tips for students who are in their early years and students who are in their sophomore and senior year. And when we finish our presentation, we'd like to then transfer it to the students from GCU and the students from the College of Medicine Tucson. And personally, at that point, I'm just going to say good night and hope you all have a really good evening, and simply allow it to be a student-to-student conversation, if that's okay. So I'm glad to see all of you here. And Dr. Preek, if you'd like to take over.
Great, thanks Mona. Hi everybody, I'm Preek. I'm Assistant Dean from the College of Medicine. So thanks so much for inviting us to come talk to you on this Friday evening. What better? You just wanted to learn about how to get into med school on a Friday evening. Well, hats off to you. We are so excited to be here, like Mona mentioned, and I'm excited to have some of our awesome medical students join us too. I'm just gonna call them out because they're amazing and they're here with us. Okay, I can see Ishmael Miller, who's one of our second years, and then Haley Owen, who was helping out earlier today. We actually had our medical school admissions interview day today, and she presented. And Haley's also a second year. And then we have Mark Bigby, an alum from GCU, who's here to join us. See, this is what happens. You can get to the other side, as you're seeing. And last but not least, it looks like we have Prem, another first year med student. So thank you all for joining us. And while I'm doing my, I have a little slideshow. I'd love, any of you would like to chime in, because I'm going to be talking a lot about the application process, and you're welcome to chime in and kind of add your own personal experience when I'm talking about the different parts of it. So feel free to do that. And Noel, would you mind, let's see, oh, I'm able to share my screen already, so perfect. So let me pull up my PowerPoint. All right, I'm going to put it on All right, so first we have to start off, what is the mission of the College of Medicine? You know, because really, what are we about? And we are a public institution, so we're really here to select a diverse cohort of students who are going to become the future leaders in advancing healthcare to all the distinct communities that make up in Arizona and also the United States. We have students applying from all over the United States. But since we are a Arizona university, we do want to serve our in-state students. So you'll see some of the demographics. It ends up usually every year being about 70% in-state and 30% out of state. So there are lots of different pathways to become a physician, and you're going to learn a little bit about that tonight. We have our traditional MD pathway. There's another pathway if you're interested in becoming a research scientist and a clinician, the MD PhD pathway. You apply for the MD PhD through your AMCAS application. Two other dual degree programs that we have at the college are the MD MBA and the MD MPH. So those, it's a lot of alphabet soup there, but those two programs you apply to after you get into the med school. So you don't have to worry about if you want to do another degree like an MBA or MPH until after you get into med school. And then you've already been introduced to Ms. Mona Lopez, who's our program coordinator senior for our pre-medical admissions pathway. She's going to talk to you a lot about that. And then we also have a honors early assurance program that once you're at the university in your junior year, you can be admitted to medical school. So you would know a year sooner that you're already in, which takes off all that pressure for your senior year. You still go ahead and complete your senior year, but this just allows you to know earlier that you're into the med school. And then we have a summer research program where you come to the med school or come via Zoom and do a summer research program with us. I just wanted to show you some trends that we see at the college, which can seem daunting, but that's another reason why we're here tonight to give you some tips about applying. So I don't show you this graph to get scared, but just to really show you the trends. Since in 2010, we started accepting out-of-state students, our numbers for the medical school continue to rise. We're about 9,500. That's where we landed last year. And right now we're about 7,700 applications, and our application cycle will close towards the end of November. So one of the things that we do see though is that our in-state numbers are pretty much holding at 800. If they're holding at 800, then you can see the rise in the applications are really from out-of-state students, and majority, a large amount of California students, since we are neighboring California. So how do we get from 9,563 down to 120? You have to have our minimum GPA of 3.0 and a minimum MCAT of 498 to get a secondary application. So last year we extended about 7,000 secondary applications, invited students to fill it out, and about 5,900 actually completed the secondary and returned it to us, okay? And then we interviewed out of that about 522 to accept an incoming class of 120. These are just some stats about the class of 2024. We always over-accept. All schools over-accept because we know students are going to get into more than one school, and we would love for all of them to come to the U of A, but they get other offers and tend to go other places. So last year we accepted 216 to get to a class of 120. We had 98 people decline, and we did have one student defer. And mixed within this presentation are some pictures. So this is orientation for the first year class. So Mark and Prem, when they started on the first day of orientation, got to come in, get their white coat, meet their house dean, and get to learn a little bit about the orientation week. So looking at the demographics of our incoming class, like I mentioned, 76% are Arizonans, 24% out of state. It's trending more females than males, nationally and locally. So since 2018, more women applied to medical school and more women are matriculating into medical school. The GPA and MCAT, it's pretty similar every year. This is about our average overall GPA and our average science. BCPM stands for biology, chemistry, physics, and math. And so what the AAMC does on your AMCAS application, they will give us your separate science GPA or BCPM, and then your overall GPA. And the MCAT staying about 508 as the average. And so these are our undergrad schools. Of course, being affiliated with the U of A, we have a large percentage of U of A students matriculating to our college. 15% are ASU, 7% UCLA, 6% NAU, and I know that the fifth is GCU. So we get students coming in from GCU too, every year, so which is great, and we're excited about that. Other stats, just 35% of the class is reapplicants, and that's fine. It's getting more and more competitive, as you all know, to get into med school. So we look at that as resilience. You know, that you really want to do this. So reapplying is not looked at badly. 30% of our students who are matriculating into the class identified themselves as underrepresented in medicine, 25% disadvantaged, 23% Hispanic, and 1% military. So then we looked at, over the last 5 years, what were the top institutions that matriculated students who were underrepresented in medicine? Number one was U of A, then PIMA, then ASU, and you can see all the different community colleges here too. So these are also some more trends of our demographics. 23% of our students identified as Hispanic, 5% African American, and 6% Native American. So these are just our trending figures for the last couple years. So that kind of gives you some overall stats and demographics of our incoming class. And now I'm going to just talk a little bit about some of the other dual degree programs. The first one being the MD PhD program. We're actually going to be interviewing for students who are applying this year next week for the MD PhD program. And this allows students, you know, if you are really interested in research and you want to enhance your clinical skills with research training, this is one way to do it. Most students who do the MD PhD program take a total of 7 to 8 years to complete the dual degree. And after they complete that degree, then they go on and start residency. It really gives you an idea of what you can do with in the biomedical sciences. Students, one of our students is doing optical sciences. Some students are actually getting a public health PhD degree. So there's all different ways you can go about doing this. One of the advantages of doing the MD PhD degree is that your tuition is paid for throughout your 7 to 8 years of the MD PhD program, and you also do receive a stipend from the college. And we accept 5 students into that program. So here's a couple of testimonials from some of our other students who aren't here. This is Johnny Trin. These are on our College of Medicine admissions website about why did they come to the College of Medicine. But you know, you can read this, but you're going to hear later on from our students themselves. So I think you'll get a good sense of why our students are coming here. But one of the things I can attest to is the sense of community. You don't realize until you get to medical school what a daunting task it is to get through 4 years. And there's a lot of ups and downs in this journey. And one of the things that we can tell you is that you're going to be surrounded by students, faculty, and staff that are really going to help you get through these 4 years. And not only are they compassionate and caring, they really want to help create the best version of you. You know, our students are competitive, but they're competitive within themselves. They're not competing against each other, and you'll hear that from them. They're always sharing notes. They're really trying to help the whole class advance forward. And that's a beautiful thing to do when you're in medical school, because like I mentioned, it's a competitive, it's not competitive, it's just a daunting sometimes task and lots of information to get through. And sometimes you can feel like, am I the only one having this problem? And then when you start talking to your friends who are also in school, you realize everybody's going through the same thing. So it's nice to have other people to help you through it. So let me just give you some quick facts about applying to medical school. So how many medical schools should you apply to? Well, I'll tell you, when I first started in this position 5 years ago, most students were applying to like 12 to 14. Now, because of how things are, most students are applying to 18 to 20 medical schools. So the number of schools has gone up, so the cost has gone up, unfortunately. One of the tools you should use to decide what school you want to apply to is to use the medical student admissions requirements. It's a online resource that you can download from the AAMC website. And there is a charge for it. It's about $28, but it's probably the best $28 you'll spend, because it's really going to give you an idea of mission fit. We talk about mission fit a lot on the admissions committee. Actually, we just had our first admissions committee meeting last night, and we're always talking about, does this applicant fit the mission of our college? That's why I showed you the mission statement. And so as you're looking at colleges and trying to figure out what college you're going to apply to, look at your experiences and think about what you're passionate about, and look at what does that school offer, what are the different programs that they offer, the outside curricular activities and if your experiences fit with them, that's probably a good school for you to apply to, because they're going to look at those same things in your application and see if you do some of the things that their students are doing. So that's kind of like the mission fit. That medical student admissions resource that I told you about will give you the mission statement of different schools. It'll give you the average metrics, experiences, and you know, where the school is based. So you can actually use the tool and kind of put in your metrics, and then they'll let you know what schools have similar average metrics towards the ones you have. So review your experiences and make sure they align with the school you're applying to. And here's a quick snapshot of the MSAR. And this is how, if you pulled it up, how U of A, College of Medicine Tucson versus Phoenix. And I'll tell you how many, like the deadlines, the first year class, the tuitions, and the median metrics. It gives you a lot of information, even more than just this. You click on this and you get more information. So now you're starting to apply, you figured it out, and now let's talk about your AMCAS application. That's more alphabet soup. In medicine, there's so much alphabet soup. AMCAS is for the American Medical College Admission Service, and that is the online portal that you're going to go to fill out your application. And it is going to have all this information you're going to need to put in it. So I would say go ahead and get started and start filling it out when it opens, because it takes a while to fill this all in. And you're going to fill it in, and then you usually can hit submit about the beginning of June, beginning to middle of June every year. So here's a couple tips when you fill out that application that's so daunting is, kind of take a look at the instruction manual and see what it says. So, people always ask me, well, should I submit on the very first day? If your application is complete, submit it early. But if it is not complete and you haven't finished all your experiences and you haven't updated it to all your new experiences, then don't submit it yet. Because once you submit your application, you cannot update it. You can't really change anything on it. So you don't want to submit your application until it's complete because of that whole idea that you can't update it. And also we do rolling admissions. So we continuously review applications as they're coming in. And we save spots for students to interview. So we don't give away all our interview spots right away because we know we're going to get applications throughout the year. So we interview from now all the way to the end of February. And we have spots open till then. So make sure you submit it when your application is completely finished. You send your transcripts to AMCAS. Make sure you read your application a couple times. You read it, look for spelling errors, have somebody else read it. Have somebody who's like amazingly good in English read it. I'm not great in grammar, so my husband's really good at that. So I have him read everything before I send it. Have your friends, and this is why you have people to help you out to read it. And also have them see if it sounds like you. Do your essays sound like you and your story? And then after you submit it, you're going to get lots of emails. Please check your emails because that's the way we communicate with you. So how do you get from you submitted your application and you're like, okay, what are they looking for in me? What kind of student? Well, these are the attributes. We call them attributes. That's the terminology we use in admissions, but just think of them as characteristics. And I want you guys to really remember this because this is what we want to see in your application and we want to hear about. Like, why do you want to become a physician anyway? What's your motivation? That should be in your personal statement. What experiences have you had? Because we want to know, do you really know what you're getting yourself into? This is like 4 years of med school and at least 3 years of residency. It's a long process. So do you really know what you're in for? We just want to make sure. And it's also good for you to know too, that you're committing to this career. Do you come from a disadvantaged background? There's a disadvantaged statement, and that could be financially, it could be maybe healthcare wise, maybe you come from a single parent household, maybe you come from a rural area where education is not on par with an urban area. So we want to hear about that. That again gives us more information about where you grew up, your background, and your demographics. In admissions, we talk a lot about distance traveled, and that doesn't mean like getting in a car and driving there. It kind of means like, your story, your journey. How did you end up submitting your application? Like, what were all the obstacles you had to go through? Now, some of our students, have to work one job. Some people have to work 2 jobs, and at the same time, they're applying to med school and going to college. And then there's other people who don't have to do that at all. So we want to know, what were all the things you had to go through to get in, to even apply to medical school? Because that helps us even out the playing field. So then when we're comparing 2 applicants, we know, okay, Johnny didn't have as much clinical experience because he was working 2 jobs versus Susie, who didn't work going to college. And that's really helpful information. So on your experiences, you should always write if you worked and for how long. We really look at that. Also, resiliency. I'm telling you, anybody who's going through COVID and applying to medical school, you're resilient. Check that off so you don't have to worry about that. Service orientation, what type of service are you providing to your community? Because being a physician, I can tell you, it's a service. We provide service to our patients every day. And we want to see what type of service you're doing. We want to know, do you know about the cultures that are present in the Southwest? you're going to be graduating and hopefully practicing in the Southwest. So we want to see, do you have any experiences with working with diverse patient populations? And what do you think about that? And why is it important to know about our patients' culture? What leadership roles have you taken throughout college? And then also, do you speak a language other than English that's commonly spoken in a medically underserved area in Arizona? So think about these. We'll send you our PowerPoints and stuff like that. But these are really things that we're looking for in our students who are applying. And where do we look for those attributes? We look for them all throughout the application. In your secondary, which has 4 essay questions. When you come to interview, in your disadvantage statement, in your letters of rec. So throughout your application. So you submitted your AMCAS application and you filled it out, you're good to go. And then we send you a secondary. And this is how you earn a secondary application. If your MCAT is a minimum of a 498, a 3.0 science and overall GPA. So these are what we call holistic metrics. And along with that, we do holistic review, as I was showing you, from all the different attributes that we really look at. So your secondary application has 4 essay questions. And you guys, this is like key for any medical school. After you send in your primary, they're going to send you a secondary application. And make sure you read those essay questions, because those essay questions will give you insight to what kind of student they're looking for. It's not really random that they're asking you this. There's a real reason behind it. So try to think about, why are they asking me this question? Make sure you look at the school's website before you answer your questions. Because if you look at our website, we're going to be talking about community service, working with diverse patient populations, versus if you, look at the website of some of the Ivy League schools back east, they're going to be talking a lot about research. We talk about research, but it's not main in front and it's on our website. So the website will help you kind of understand what their mission statement is and what the school's all about. And then you want to kind of weave your experiences into your essay questions. So that's what I mean when I say walk the talk. If you say you like working with diverse patient populations and in an underserved area, then tell us about some experiences that you had doing that. And not only, so if you tell us your experience, that's kind of like a B essay. A really, really good essay is if you tell us the experience and then you tell us what you learned from it and how that's going to make you a better future physician. That's the secret sauce. When you tell us what you learned from it and how it's going to make you a better physician. That's super important. So really be careful, you guys, of cutting and pasting. My husband, I got him into this and he's now reading secondary applications. So he's like, he read this application. He's like, what do you think? How do you think I should grade this person? I said, why? What's wrong? He's like, well, they answered the question about why they want to come to University of Arizona to saying, I really want to come to Stanford Medical School because of blah, blah, blah. And, they were basically cutting and pasting and they didn't reread it. Okay. So please don't do that. I think that's like the 3rd time that I have read an essay that said that. So it'll catch up with you. And also remember, the admissions committee sees your whole application. So don't cut and paste what you put on your personal statement into your secondary, because they read your whole application. We read it all. And if you cut and paste, then we also think like, we're their backup school. They don't really want to come here. So really be careful, because your secondary application determines if you're going to get an interview or not. Okay. So that's a key. And that's why you want to be thoughtful. So we do the multiple mini interview, and we do it because the research has shown is that it really is not based on your socioeconomic demographics. Students who are coached on interviewing skills, it's hard to be coached with an MMI because they're really just communication questions that we're asking you. So how does it work? So basically there's 6 scenarios. So you are actually, instead of interacting with one-on-one person, you're actually interacting with 6 different people. and you have 10 minutes to interact with that person, actually you have 7 minutes to answer the questions. So you will be asked 2 traditional questions all the time. And these 2 questions you will be asked at any medical school. Why do you want to be a physician? By the time you apply, I'm sure you know the answer to that. And then for sure, why do you want to come to University of College of Medicine Tucson or Phoenix, wherever you're interviewing at? So in order to get a better sense of why you want to come to our school, you should look at our website, right? Look at all those distinctive programs that we have, and which ones are you interested in. That shows that you actually have research and that you have a level of interest in where you're applying. So that's very helpful if you do something like that. And then there's 4 discussion questions. This year, everything is virtual. And so like today, we just did all of our interviews over Zoom. So then after you interview, your file goes to the admissions committee to review, and it gets reviewed, and hopefully you get accepted. So what's going to help you stand out in 9,500 applications, right? Well, your application's your novel. I cannot tell you enough that we want to read your story. Josie's going to tell you that. Mona's going to tell you that. Christina, Agnes, we really want to hear in your own words where you're from. The more personal you can make it, the more you can weave like different themes, like things you're really passionate about. We love to hear that. And like I said, we want to hear insights that you gained. And you know, one good thing is I tell students is keep a reflection journal or write it on your computer, on your phone or whatever. Everybody's doing so many different experiences. And you know, at the end of the day, when you come home, maybe sit down and take 5-10 minutes just to reflect what it was like when you were working in the emergency room with the patient, with the physician you were shadowing, and maybe a patient came in and they didn't take their insulin, so they were in DKA, which is diabetic ketoacidosis, and super sick. And so, you know, maybe everybody thought they were non-compliant because they're not taking their medication, but then lo and behold, you find out that the patient couldn't afford their medication. Or, you know, or they didn't have a refrigerator to put their insulin in. So these are like interesting experiences that you see that you want to write down, reflect about, because you can write about those in a couple months when you have to write all those essay questions. You can talk about those things when you come to interview. And it's nice, then you can just kind of look through your journal instead of having to think like, oh, what was that time that I was working in the ER? What happened? You know, it's easier to kind of look through something that you've already written down. It'll help jot your memory. So I have been talking like a mile a minute, and I wanted to ask, we have a lot of students here, and I know Ishmael reads a lot of applications, and anybody else, any advice? I know you're going to give some advice, but anything about this part that you'd like to add?
Yeah, definitely, Dr. Preek. I was writing some notes down as you were going through the slides. And everyone, hi, nice to meet you. As Dr. Preek said, my name is Ismail Miller. I use he, his pronouns. I'm a second-year medical student at UA-CompT. So I think the 3 points I wrote here, so just beware of the MSAR. I know as a student that, you know, my GPA wasn't the highest, my test scores weren't the highest. Just be wary of those numbers and always remember that they're averages. You know, students get in with numbers that are below that, numbers that are above that. I mean, just from personal experience, I've had the privilege of serving on the admissions committee with Dr. Preek, and we review students all the time that, you know, they may not have the highest MCAT score, but they have amazing experiences. Their story like really speaks to their resilience. And those students get in just as much as students that, you know, have a 5 million on the MCAT and a, you know, a 4.0 GPA. So just keep in mind that those numbers are averages and students get in with numbers below and above that. And the second point I want to make, I know Dr. Preek had mentioned for the MMI, it's kind of difficult to be coached for it, but you can't be coached for it, but you can absolutely practice for it. It was something that I practiced pretty extensively with some pre-health advisors that I trusted. I definitely recommend picking up a book and kind of just reading more about the process of an MMI. It can be a little daunting if it is your first time. Also, reach out to people on campus. Josie, who will speak to you guys, she was nice enough to hold like practice MMIs on the undergraduate campus, which were really helpful. So really just kind of get a broad idea before you start interviewing on the different interview styles, as well as like some of the common types of questions that are asked, like ethical questions and acting stations. That'll better prepare you on just kind of tackling with the MMIs. It can be a little frightening if you're seeing it for the first time. Yeah, I think that's all I have. I'm sure I'll try to add some more stuff as each person keeps talking. I'm sure the other students have some stuff to say too.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Haley, also a second year medical student. A couple of things that I learned, which kind of Dr. Preek already mentioned, but I thought would be nice to emphasize, is just starting early on the application. The AMCAS application is long. You have to put in every single course you've ever taken with your grades. It takes time. So start early so that when you do get to the end, you're not, submitting really quick and having those errors and things like that. The other thing is definitely have someone else read your application. If you make close connections with the professor or a physician and they're willing to do so, do that. The first time I applied to medical school, I had my mom reading my applications, which was very nice. It was a great, outside source to kind of tell me, oh yes, it was on point, no, it wasn't. The second time I applied, I made a connection with the physician who reviewed my personal statement, and I got a whole different type of feedback. So if you can get someone who's been through the process to review those kinds of things, it'd be really beneficial.
Great. Those are excellent points, Haley and Ishmael. Thanks for making those. So this is stuff you can look it up from our website. These are our new prereqs. Just some quick changes for our cycle. We extended our deadline because of COVID. These are all the changes we made. It's now closing November 23rd. Our secondary is December 15th. We added another question on the secondary about how did COVID-19 impact your application process. And then we do let students submit their application without their MCAT while they're waiting for it, because we know there's been a lot of disturbances on students taking MCATs. We're taking pass-fail grades. We also are taking the latest MCAT. We pushed it back to January 2018, and we're doing all virtual MMIs this year. So yeah, so those are, I kind of went through that quickly because you're going to get lots of information, and really we want you to have a time to talk to our students. So I will now pass it on to Mona, who's going to talk to us about the PMAP program.
Thank you, Dr. Preek. Before I go on to the PMAP program, I wanted to ask if the students who are present here from GCU, would you mind giving Noelle your name, your email address that you'd prefer to be contacted, the institution you're from, and I'm assuming you're all from GCU, but I don't know, and the year you're in. And the last question is, may we reach out to you? So we were having a discussion recently with the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and we have a number of mentoring programs that are established and some that are being established. And just having a pipeline where we can drop you an email, and you can mark you'd like to be contacted or you'd prefer not to. And we can just simply send you emails as we're hosting events or having any kind of workshops. And then you could choose to participate or not. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now. And I did shorten my presentation simply because I do want to leave time for everyone to speak to you and to leave time for the students. So I'm going to be talking to you about the Pre-Medical Admissions Pathway Program. This is a different pathway to medicine, and you must be an Arizona resident to participate in this program. So PMAP is designed, as you can see, for students who've had greater than average challenges becoming a competitive school applicant. This is not to prepare you for the MCAT. This actually is to prepare you to be successful as a medical student. You can see the target groups, the type of students that we're looking for, social economically disadvantaged, first generation college students, maybe individuals who grew up in rural or border communities, and individuals recognized by, federally by American Indian tribes. You can also see that we're looking for the same type of attributes that the College of Medicine MD program is looking for: cultural competencies, a commitment to underserved communities. And if you happen to be fluent in a language spoken either in Arizona, a Native American language, or Spanish, please let us know through your responses. And by responses, I mean your essays, your personal statement. The requirements for PMAP are identical to the requirements for the MD program, except that this one, of course, you must be an Arizona resident. The MCAT score is 498. The undergrad cumulative GPA and BCPM is 3.0. A bachelor's degree and the prerequisites. The prerequisites are identical. The PMAP program, however, is a master's program. So you would apply through the U of A Graduate College application as opposed through AMCAS. Again, you are applying and you are a medical student to the College of Medicine. You will go through the multi-mini interview. You will also go through the holistic review process. So things are very identical. The analogy I've been using is that PMAP students are like diamonds in the rough. The value's already there. The brilliance just needs a little bit of polishing. And so the PMAP program is designed to just enhance the skills that you already have, perhaps compensate for some gaps in opportunities because of the educational experience that you might have had, because of the environment that you grew up in. So again, upon successful completion of the PMAP program, with a minimum GPA of 3.0, you are admitted to the College of Medicine. Your seat is being held for you. In addition, the PMAP program provides educational enrichment. These are the courses that you're going to be taking. This is a learning specialist that is going to be working with you. And this is guidance to complete the CMM thesis and earn the CMM degree. The CMM degree is not required. However, it is highly encouraged. Earning the degree can differentiate you from other applicants when you're applying for residency programs. And some of you that might do research work, again, there's a greater distinction, and it's another feather in your cap. The PMAP program also provides professional socialization. You are going to, in addition to the curriculum, be working with a society's mentor, who is a physician at the College of Medicine, and you're going to be working with another physician through clinical correlations. You are going to have hands-on experience with standardized patients through your PMAP year, whereas the MD students aren't going to get it until their first year in medical school. You're getting it a full year in advance. In addition to that, we have life management training for you, coaching on financial and just personal life stress, goal setting, and access to confidential counseling. The curriculum you can see here, and you can also find it on our website. These upper areas here are the courses that you actually register and take. And these are not things that you register for, but things that you will participate in, such as the clinical correlations and doctor and patient societies. Through the PMAP societies, you have an opportunity to shadow residents. And this year we are looking for an opportunity to do this through telemedicine, given the pandemic that we're all dealing with. You learn to take patient histories. You learn to do physical exams. You become comfortable putting your hands, quite honestly, on a stranger. You learn how to ask questions appropriately so that you get information as opposed to the patient agreeing with whatever you're saying. One of the things I like to share is that you are going to get some experience that the MS1 students will not have. And PMAP students can be the bar that medical students are attempting to reach. The application window, we did extend our deadline date due to COVID to December 15th. We are also going to accept the January 15th and 16th MCAT test dates. Applicants who are applying this cycle and have a January date do need to communicate with me. Our MMI is scheduled for February 19th, and it will be held virtually. And once you come in for the MMI, things move rather quickly. We actually have notifications in March. I see that I failed to put here, we have orientation in April, and classes begin in May. Here's our admissions information, the PMAP email, my personal email, our phone number. So one of the things that I'm going to stop sharing my screen. As Dr. Parikh said, some of the things that I really want to share with you is because this is a program for students who've had more challenges, how you're able to express those challenges, the resiliency that you've gained, the lessons learned, the wisdom, how you're able to approach things differently, the personal growth, your ability to express that well through your personal statement and through your essay responses. That's where we really learn about you. You know, those of you that have had to work while you're going to school have improved time management skills. Those of you that have had to care for family members understand maybe even some of the medical terminology because you've been taking someone to the doctor, you've been going with them, or you've been giving them their medication, or you explain things to them. Again, if you have another language, please let us know that. As your application moves through the process, individuals are blinded. When I'm reading your personal statement and your essay responses, and that's part of the PMAP application. Again, this mirrors very similar to the MD program. You're going to submit a personal statement. You're going to answer essay responses that are built into the application. Your ability to not speak so much about the experience, but speak about the impact that's had on you, the growth that that has had on you, the lessons that you've learned. Let me see, I was taking notes as well as to what did I really want to touch upon. The only thing I'm going to add here before I hand it over to Christina is that sometimes individuals who have had challenges think of challenges as a negative. And what I'm looking for you to do is find those transferable skills that you've now gained. The ability to be resilient, the ability to continue to put one foot in front of the other. The ability, I tell people, through my life, I've learned not just to make lemonade out of lemons, but how to make a lemon cupcake and lemon curd and limoncello. Just from my own personal life experience, I just want to let you know that there's a lot of strength that you have if you've been through things that have challenged you. Look at those challenges as having grown those strengths as opposed to being a negative, and share with us the strengths that you will be bringing, the compassion and the empathy that you will be bringing because of your own life experiences, your ability to connect to a wide variety of patients, to understand their circumstances because perhaps you've been in their circumstances or you have family who's been in their circumstances. Thank you. I will be sending the presentations, even though you're recording this, to Noelle, and I will send you the extended version. And please, if you can get me the list of everyone who's attended and if you'd like to be contacted by us. Thank you. Do any of you have any questions though, before I hand it over to Christina? No? I thought I saw Thomasina here. Is she with us? Thomasina, you are a PMAP alum. Do you want to share anything?
Hey everyone, I'm Thomasina Blackwater. I'm a fourth-year medical student. I'm originally from New Mexico. I was a PMAP student. I'm your non-traditional student, so everything that Mona hit on, I had a lot of challenges. I started med school a lot later. I went and got my MPH degree, and I worked for a while. So I'm glad I did PMAP because it had been a while before I had seen, my last science course. I remember we started off with histology, and we did a lot of anatomy, and we did a lot of pathology. And by the time I started first year, I was set up for success. And again, there's still challenges along the way, but for the most part, I think without PMAP, I probably would have struggled a lot more.
Thank you. So Christina, I hand it over to you now.
Thank you, Mona. Let me see, I'll go ahead and share my screen real quick. So I am Christina from the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the College of Medicine. We have another office at the health sciences level that kind of taps more into all of the health sciences. So we have pharmacy there, public health, nursing, and they'll work kind of with the health sciences as a whole. But our office is specific to the College of Medicine at Tucson campus. Currently, this is our setup. We have a Vice Dean, Dr. Victoria Moraine. She's directly under the Dean of the College of Medicine. We have a team of 3, our Assistant Director, Dr. Michelle Ortiz, myself, and then, like I said, I'm the coordinator, and then our Admin Associate, Rochelle Powell. The stuff I want to share with you is really just to highlight the work that we're doing at the campus. I know we have some students here who could also speak to many of the things that I'll be mentioning and add to that list, but I definitely want you to be able to hear from the students, so I'm going to go through some of this stuff kind of quickly. We have a diversity statement that is supported by the College of Medicine, and it really is meant to point out the value that we place on creating that diverse and inclusive environment. We recognize the importance and work towards always improving that. The blue pieces are kind of highlighting some of those important and key phrases that we're really proud of, but this is something available on the website if you wanted to kind of pull it apart in detail. Some of the things that we have set up over the past couple of years and have been really taking off as of late are really just campus-wide trainings, as well as works with our diversity champions. So we have a number of clinical departments. This is going to be like your emergency department, your internal medicine department, also with your basic sciences. We've got over, I think, 25 that we're working with right now who all have a diversity champion named in the faculty who will bring trainings, kind of keep the college informed of what's going on in their departments, and lead the diversity efforts in each of those departments. It's a huge task. The college itself and all of the inner workings, it really is large, and we're very lucky that we have Banner on site with us and are able to really closely engage with everybody there. So this is a fantastic opportunity. Some of the trainings that our diversity champions lead in their departments and we co-host with them are the Everyday Bias for Healthcare Professionals. This is something that we partnered with Cook Ross and the AAMC to become certified in. We have developed a number of other trainings, the Unconscious Bias for Search Committees, Med Safe Zone training. This is going to be specific to making sure we have a safe place for our LGBTQ plus community, and how does that impact our patients as well as our peers. Trainings on microaggressions, and the list kind of goes on. I feel like we have requests to develop additional and bring additional trainings to campus on a regular basis. We're really proud to see the department stepping up and scheduling these. We're in the process of scheduling the internal medicine safe zone training right now, and we're a little challenged because the group is so large, but that's a great challenge to have, so many people interested. Our dean is very, very excited to be moving this along on the college campus. One of the things that this ties into is department scorecards. This is something new. We've started this, we've been working on it probably for the past 2 years, and each of those clinical and basic science departments are going to be reporting annually to the dean of the College of Medicine what their diversity efforts have been, what their inclusion, recruitment, and retention efforts have been. So this could be particular efforts that they're putting on their residency program, but it's also going to impact their faculty and what trainings did they bring in, how many participants did they have, did they come up with any novel ideas that could maybe translate to another department. So this is really going to help us get a good feel of what's happening on campus, because there's so much going on that we don't always hear about it, and it's a really good practice to kind of get it all in one place. Diversity hours is something new that the dean is supporting. We have a number, I think it's 6 hours for each faculty that they're going to have to complete each on an annual basis. So 6 hours of diversity or inclusive activity. This could be participating in certain forums, participating in these trainings, but this is one of those metrics where we can actually see that we have every faculty participating a number of hours every year in efforts to bring these topics to campus and kind of work on them on an individual level. And that's something that will be reflected in the department scorecards. How active are their faculty? So this is, again, it's going to be that that check and balance kind of opportunity for us to make sure if there are departments that need a little bit more support, if there are departments who are really excelling, there's different things we can do with both of those. Additionally, we have, excuse me, a number of town halls that we host. These are going to be opportunities for really kind of an open platform. There are certainly hot topics that come up at each interval. We try to do them quarterly. In the midst of some really big things happening on a national basis. We might have them a little bit more regularly, kind of just depending on the need. But again, that just speaks to the openness on campus and the willingness of our administration to kind of lend an ear and try to understand what's happening and where their support is needed. So these are just a number of things happening kind of on a grander scale. I'm going to run through a number of talks and forums that we host that and program initiatives, just to give you an idea of the different stuff that we do on campus as well. Sorry, my mouse isn't working. There we go. So diversity lectures, we're going to be bringing in folks from around the nation to bring some really crucial topics to the campus, and they're going to be experts in their fields. We host some healthcare disparity forums. This is going to come out of the distinction track with our residents. Some examples of topics that have come to campus are ethics of medical repatriation, practicing medicine in the midst of an opiate crisis, becoming a change agent. We have community resources fairs through this platform to kind of inform our students and our residents what services are available in the community once your patient leaves you, what do they have available to them. We have a mentoring program, some pictures of our faculty and some of our students who participate. Right now, I think we are about 65 pairs that are active. This is a program that's been growing over the past couple of years and really taking off. Some of the forums that will come out of this group are open to all, but we specifically create them for this group of mentors. And you'll look at professionalism, introducing academic careers. Something that's really big is the resilience versus burnout, talking about how to maintain relationships and preserve them during medical school, because that can be trying for some folks. Another set of talks that you might have access to are in a group discourse panels. They're really forming to become more of this uncommon path panel, and that's something that has been really helpful, and we've gotten lots of feedback from our undergrads who participate in these. They hear from medical students, they hear from residents, they hear from faculty, they even hear from people at the administrative level to see that these paths can look very different for everybody, and that there's still some really valuable things that you're bringing to the table, even if you're taking it on a common path. This is something that our students engage in, our undergrads engage with high schoolers in the south area of Tucson, kind of the underserved community, bringing healthcare careers to them and that exploration. So just again, tying into the community is a big part for College of Medicine Tucson campus. It starts even down at the high school level. We're trying to get even younger than that, but that's a work in progress. instituted some summer reading programs just this past summer. We have some students on the call today who have been leadership for our Student Diversity Advisory Committee. This is something that is unique to our campus. We've heard it time and time again when students return from national or regional conferences and realize that other students don't have something like this on campus. It really puts into perspective what how thankful we are that we do have the administration we do have. There's always more work that can be done. That's one thing that we have to learn, but be appreciative of the work and support that we do have to kind of start building things up. So our Student Diversity Advisory Committee is going to be made up of participants from our different affinity groups. They've got a really close link to administration and can bring up concerns, can bring up passion projects, and we really support them. Our office really works hard to make sure that we can promote those things and kind of create something that's sustainable. And I'll let them share a little bit more on that if they want to when they get a chance. Here's a list of the affinity clubs that we have on campus. These are going to be or I don't have the interest groups listed here, but there's a number of those as well. Something that's important to mention is that there are a number of undergrad groups that our College of Medicine students work with, so kind of that undergrad pairing. So if you guys have them on your campus and you want to link up, we could definitely kind of aid in that coordination and getting you those contacts. We take the time out to celebrate our heritage whenever we have the opportunity. So if it's, we just are in the middle of the Hispanic Heritage Month. So we put together a group of our Latin Medical Student Association students and some faculty who are forming a new group to present on the historical contributions and to kind of just talk about their paths as well. It was a really moving time, and I think the participants were really enriched by the experience. This photo here, the large one, I love the smile. We gathered for iftar, which is breaking of the fast during Ramadan, I believe. So we got to learn a little bit about that heritage and what it means to these students. And then another photo here, I think we were doing the MLK celebration that day as well. So we try to highlight some really positive things on campus. We just started a book club. The one they are working on right now is Fatal Intervention. And this one is talking about how science, politics, and big business recreate race in the 21st century. So definitely, on point with what's going on kind of on the national level right now. And a lot of folks are interested in engaging in conversation. So something that, people are volunteering their free time to do these things. It definitely shows the commitment to the people from the people who are on campus. Thinking again, just kind of about the celebrations that we do, we always want to make sure that we're highlighting our faculty, our students, our residents, and all of the cool things that they are doing. So we make sure that we're posting those and trying to get peers to submit something on their colleagues or other students that they know, and kind of bring awareness to the great folks that are on campus with us. So there are lots of ways for you to engage as an undergrad, even while you're at GCU. Any of those talks right now, they're online. Anybody can participate in those. If you want to get notified of them, this QR code here will get you put onto our listserv. So you'll be receiving the monthly newsletter, and then you'll get notice of whenever those events do come up. They don't always make it onto the newsletter. But you can participate in those now, and if you ever find yourself in Tucson and something's happening in person, you would be welcomed as well. So connecting early is definitely something that we encourage, but I hope that this, in the few minutes that I have you, just demonstrates that there is definitely a passion on campus, and this commitment to the underserved communities, but really bringing in that diversity in our faculty and in our students is something that is really important to us as well. I will take any questions that you may have. And if you're looking for any contact information, the email address is probably the best thing right now.
We did have a question for one of our students that could not attend. The question entailed, how did you guys handle the situation with civil unrest with BLM this summer? Was that question I had.
You know, the virtual format is so unfortunate right now, especially with everything that happened this summer. It made it particularly challenging to connect in a real and meaningful way. And so we definitely felt that, and we know that our students and our faculty were feeling that as well. We hosted a number of town halls. We thought it was important that we create that safe space for different groups. So we made sure that we gave our Black and African American community their own space and participated together, because those experiences were very different than what everyone else was experiencing. So we had a town hall specific for those groups. We had town hall specific for our residents, specific for our staff, and specific for the greater student body and the greater faculty body, and then brought everything together. We heard from our students in those groups some of the things that they wanted to see changed on campus, and some of those involved, you know, safety and security concerns. And we have committees that have been brought up because of that and are addressing those concerns and really looking into different policies. There are a number of anti-racism in medicine committees that have been started. I think we have maybe like 7 or 8 right now. They're going to be looking at transparency. They're going to be looking at the curriculum, looking at recruitment and retention, both on the faculty side and on the student side. So, you know, it's hard not to be in the same space as everybody when these things happen, and we feel that. But, you know, to the best of our ability, we tried to connect with everybody that we could and make sure that there was an open and safe space for folks to talk about what this brought up for them, and then kind of also hear what action would be meaningful and try to affect change in that way.
Christina, if you don't mind me adding,
Sure.
Noel, from the student perspective, so as Christina mentioned, I currently serving as co-chair on the Student Diversity Advisory Committee alongside Haley Owen, who's also here. I would say, so the deaths earlier this year, like really shook the student body. And I think, you know, ODEI as well as SDAC did a great job of kind of stepping up to support the students through that emotionally trying time. I think probably one of the biggest events that we held, where we did a number of kind of separate meetings outside of our regular monthly meetings, where students really could just engage in discussion and conversation about kind of what was unfolding in the country. I know that our first meeting we hosted it was around 60 to 70 students that spanned, you know, all 4 years. And we kind of, you know, used Zoom and did breakout sessions to kind of engage in different discussions. But I was just really proud of ODEI and, you know, all the support that they offered through that time. Because I know personally, as a medical student, we were going through one of our hardest blocks. And when all that was unfolding, it was really hard to kind of like stay engaged in the curriculum, but then kind of be involved in, you know, the chaos that was happening. So I know ODEI, as well as SDAC, you know, my fellow classmates and leadership, like really supported me through that time. So it was amazing to see everyone kind of step up and just support each other through that. So.
Thank you guys for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Christina. Do we have any more questions for Christina? If not, we'll hand it over to Agnes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Agnes Adekai, and I'm with the University of Arizona Health Sciences, College of Public Health, and Family and Community Medicine College of Medicine. I'm with the Native American Research and Training Center, also with the American Indian Research Center for Health. So I coordinate a program called the Arizona Indians into Medicine program, which is funded by the Indian Health Service. The purpose of the program is to recruit and support Native students into the health professions, medicine, pharmacy, nursing, public health, but also in the allied health fields. We do have students who are interested in the physician assistant program, occupational therapy, dentistry, a variety of different fields. And so we work with a lot of students across the state of Arizona. Ooh, okay. So let me start. Here we go. So who are we? So I am this is the team that has worked with the Arizona Indians into Medicine program. Here I am. I'm Agnes. And my coordinator, Tashina McShane, who works out of the Phoenix office of University of Arizona Health Sciences within the College of Medicine. And then Dr. Alberta Arvizu, who is our learning specialist, who's now over at the College of Vet Medicine. So she's now working with veterinary students. And of course, my good buddy, Josie Jen Morgan, who will also present later on pre-health advising. And we are here standing with Dr. Vanessa Jensen, Navajo individual who graduated from our College of Medicine, Tucson, who's a surgeon, formerly with Tuba City Healthcare, now at Fort Defiance. So our purpose is really to help students to thrive and become competitive applicants. And so we connect our students with the Native Health Career Network. We provide opportunities for success and also ensure success while they are here at the University of Arizona's College of Medicine, Tucson, and also Phoenix. So this is specifically for Native students, but we do a lot of advising even before students get to the University of Arizona as community college students, as high school students, and then while they're still here as undergraduate students. We do checking with grades and also developing individual development plans with our undergraduate students. We offer a success course that's offered for our incoming freshmen, transfer students, and those who need to transfer out of classes. We offer workshops throughout the year with our partners on campus. We offer the GRE prep course and MCAT workshops through our UA think tank. And for Native students who are enrolled at the University of Arizona, we offer those courses for free. We pay for those courses, and we also reimburse for the GRE and MCAT. We also work closely with our national partner, which is the American Indian Association, American Indian Physicians Association, to offer a pre-admissions workshop every spring. So unfortunately, this past spring, due to COVID, we had to cancel our PA workshop, which had been scheduled over at the Tucson campus. So we will figure out, we'll be coming together again to plan on next spring's workshop. So we also provide assistance financially for students who may need clothing assistance or assistance purchasing materials to help them study for MCAT or tutoring assistance, also assistance to visit our campus health. We also help students with their personal statements, and we read our students' personal statements and provide advice on the statements as well. And here we have on this presentation, we have examples of some of the workshops that we've offered. Working closely with the Association of Native American Medical Students chapter, we've offered suturing workshops at national conferences. We also host students coming onto University of Arizona Health Sciences campus to visit our simulation labs, both high school and undergraduate students. We also recruit for the post-bac programs, both the PMAT program, which is in Tucson, and also the Pathway Scholars program in the College of Medicine, Phoenix. As I said, we work closely with our community college students to provide assistance of transferring over to the University of Arizona. We also connect students to some of our Native physicians that we have across the state of Arizona. We offer a speaker series. They do help assist with our pre-admissions workshop, and many of them are mentors to some of our students who are planning on applying for our College of Medicine. In addition, as I stated before, we work with a variety of different universities and colleges across Arizona. So if students feel like the College of Medicine at the University of Arizona is not the best fit for them, We certainly work with them to figure out what school is better to fit their needs and their passion. And so we do have students that go into the DO programs or go into other health programs within the state of Arizona, and we assist them as well in that process. So a couple things that are important, as Dr. mentioned earlier about admissions into the College of Medicine, having those opportunities during summer or having research opportunities is one component of becoming a competitive applicant to medical school. So one of the things we do is we highly recommend students, if they are freshmen and sophomore, to apply and attend the Summer Health Professions Education Program, which is for pre-health students, and it is paid. In addition, for those who are juniors, we highly recommend the Border Latino and American Indian Summer Exposure to Research, a 10-week undergraduate research experience program. And the summer program offers a stipend and on-campus housing, and also assistance with the MCAT and GRE prep. And these applications, this application is due in February, and the website is listed on the presentation there. So one of the questions we also get is how to pay for the post-bac and medical school programs. So at the University of Arizona, there is the Graduate Access Fellowship Program, which is, there are funds available awarded to the PMEP class. In addition, there's the new Primary Care Physician Scholarship, which covers in-state tuition costs for those who are interested in primary care or working in underserved regions of Arizona in exchange for a commitment of 2 years of service. We also have the Navajo Nation Future Physician Scholarship Fund, and it pays tuition and academic support for 7 Navajo scholars per year. And in exchange, students give back 5 years commitment back to the Navajo Nation. So if you have any further questions, I can be reached by email. Right, here's my email, my cell phone. We are also with trainings and so forth on our social media. These scholarships and training opportunities are available for everyone, not specifically Native students. So we always post these, and these also get posted and retweeted and reposted by others as well. So if you have any questions, just give me a holler. Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes. Josie, take it away.
Okay, I'm the last one, but I'll try to make it quick because you've got some wonderful students here that can give you some more insight. And so let me go ahead and share my screen. And so again, my name is Josie Jen Morgan, and I'm the Pre-Health Advisor Coordinator that oversees the University of Arizona Pre-Health Professions Program. So you'll see on the very first slide, on the bottom right-hand side, 4 of those students were ambassadors in our program, or actually were accepted into medical school all at the same time. And Ismael is nodding because one of them was his mentor, and the other 3 are also in our ambassadors program. So our office works with about 12,000 students across the University of Arizona. I've been pre-health advising for probably over 20 years. I've seen the MCAT change 3 times. So I have a lot of insight on the application process, the preparation process, just like the other speakers, pretty familiar with the whole process to apply and what things. So a lot of what you're going to hear is probably things that you might already hear from your academic career center. And I know in the past, I've actually visited GCU and did an MMI interviewing techniques workshop at the campus, and I worked with Rosie. So I don't know if anybody knows Rosie, but basically she also teaches biology at GCU. So we collaborate as pre-health advisors. So today I'm going to give you an overview, but I'm probably going to go pretty quickly because you've heard a lot of the information. I know it's getting late, but let's get to talking to the students. So basically, today we're talking about medicine, but our program, like many programs across the country, work with all students interested in pursuing a graduate level health profession. And so we do the same, but today we're focusing on medicine. And you may know, and if there's any that are attending that are freshmen, you know that pre-med is not a major. Pre-med is an application process. You can major in anything and apply to medical school, but you really want to major in something you love, right? And so this photo, I love this photo too, because Ismael's in there. So is Tatiana, and then there's some other individuals. Out of those 11 ambassadors that we have, 9 of them have gone to medical schools in different areas. So we're really proud of them. But we work with all students across all majors. Even if they graduate, they can work with us. Our office partners with a lot of programs, like you heard Agnes, we program and we partner together. Mona and I, partner together. But just to let you know, our office is a general pre-health office. So again, we work with about 12,000 students. About 350, 400 students are actively applying every year. And so we just kicked off an MCAT review thing. We did interviewing techniques workshop just recently. We video everything. So if you wanted to see that, we have it on our website if you wanted to take a look. But so pre-health advisors, we have about 4 of them in our office. I do oversee that department. And then we have ambassadors that help us, that go out and talk to students and incoming freshmen and undergraduate students. So again, your pre-health advisor is one that's going to help you develop a timeline, talk about how do you prepare. You've heard about summer programs, of course, the coursework that you need to take in order to prepare to take the MCAT. So your pre-health advisor really works with you, and then also works with your major advisor to kind of develop that timeline. Like, do you want to graduate and go right into med school? Do you want to take a gap year, which is becoming very popular because there's so much that you have to prepare for that sometimes 4 years is just too crunched. So just remember that that timeline is really your timeline. There's not one set way to get into medical school. We get that asked all the time. What's the best major? What should I do? Should I be an EMT? Should I do this or do that? I heard this or I heard that. Your pre-health advisor is the one that's going to be most in tune with the current trends and things that are going on. So work with them and they can get you engaged. So again, meet with your pre-health advisor, because again, there's a lot of misinformation that's out there also, and you don't want to get caught up on, someone told me I should do this, or my personal statement should be like this. You want to get it from the sources, and you want to get it from people who are familiar with it. A lot of students, a lot of applicants will go to their family members and read it. And the thing is, they can read into it. You want people who don't know you read these documents, because then they can give you their first impression, right? You want to make sure that you convey who you are on paper. So basically make sure that you contact your pre-health advisor. We see students as often as they like. Ismael might have come in 3 or 4 times a semester, even though he was an ambassador. But the thing is, you want to make sure that the information you're getting is current and accurate so that you can make the best decision, that you don't want to go through and say, oh my gosh, I didn't need calculus, and then find out, oh my God, I took it 3 times, right? So you want to catch those things before they happen. So again, you want to make sure that you major in something that you truly love. Any institution will be able to integrate your chemistry, biology, your physics, all your upper division sciences into any major. And so you want to make sure that that's a major you would have pursued regardless of applying to med school, that if you didn't get in, what would you do with that degree? And also as an undergrad, that's your time to really enjoy your journey. If you want to be a creative writer and you want to do a pre-health thematic minor to cover your sciences, students do that all the time. COVID-19, you guys amaze me. You're running to the fire, right? You're not running away from the fire. You're going and saying, wait, COVID-19 really solidifies why I want to do this. And so if you happen to go into public health, it doesn't cover all the sciences, we can do a pre-health thematic minor. So again, at your institution, work with your advisors, major in something you love, because if you don't get in, don't tweak yourself to what you think will get you in. At our institution, it's physiology. Everybody thinks they have to be a physio major. But if you are going to pursue physio and you love it, you might consider minoring in something like American Indian Studies or psychology, or, something that's non-science, because, this holistic review that you heard from Dr. Preek and all the other folks is that they want a well-rounded person, not just someone who's really good in the sciences, but you're going to have to engage with people who are not like you. So a lot of times, if you're able to expose yourself to coursework or summer programs or things like that, that makes you really a competitive applicant, because you're doing things, maybe you're taking yourself out of your comfort zone. You've never done this, like going to Costa Rica and you don't speak Spanish, that kind of thing, is that you want to engage in those things. So find the major that you love. Again, you're going to hear about all the common courses. Just realize that a lot of medical schools are not being prescriptive. They're really not saying 1 year of this and 1 year of that. They're really wanting you to get up to those upper division courses. No doubt for biochemistry and genetics, you have to take the intro bio, intro chemistry, and that sort of thing. You know, when they redid the MCAT in 2015, when our institution kind of looked at what physics was offered and what physics courses met that requirement, unfortunately, students still had to take 2 courses because there were different components in physics. And it could be physics with or without calculus, usually depends on your major. So I wouldn't worry about that. English, they want 1 year. Most schools want you to have 1 year of composition. So a lot of times institutions might have like an honors English that works for your degree, but it's only 1 semester. Then you'll have to take like a 2nd semester of English. Again, I defer to your pre-health advisor. And then, you know, no doubt you're not just applying with just the minimal coursework. And as you heard Dr. Preek mention, you know, there's some increased requirements that they implemented. So you want to make sure that you cover all those bases, that the courses you're taking are going to be preparing you for that process, and that you meet all the prereqs. Again, choosing the right major. Yeah, this is one of the biggest misconceptions, is that, you know, you have to have calculus. College algebra and statistics are the only things on the MCAT. So basically, depending on what you major in will determine whether or not you need calculus. It's not for the MCAT, and for a majority of medical schools across the country, they don't require calculus. And if they do, it's generally just a handful of schools, and it could vary between 1 semester and 1 year. So if you are applying to one of those schools, you just have to have it done by the time you matriculate. By the time, if you get accepted, have that completed. So co-curricular. So let's say given everybody has like a 4.0, they're doing really well, they, you know, blow out the MCAT, you know, that's only one piece of the big puzzle. You know, first they want to know you're not an academic risk. So they're going to look for trends and patterns in your academic coursework. It's not like you sign up for 21 units and you drop 3 units and you get W's and there's a pattern. You know, they're not going to freak out on 1 or 2 W's. Life happens, and, you know, it's not a trend or a pattern. But the thing is, you want to make sure that you do well in your coursework, because as an undergrad, what you're doing is you're demonstrating to an admissions committee what you're going to be like when you get into medical school. What kind of habits, how did you prepare? Can you balance your personal and your academic life and really enjoy the journey, right? So aside from the grades, what they're going to look at is your ability to be involved in clubs or leadership or community involvement. And a little later on, we're going to talk about core competencies. And that's the reason why we want to make sure that you get involved. Not that you can do all this by yourself, which is true. Yeah, you can study. You can also prepare for the MCAT. But a lot of the parts that make a difference in a competitive applicant is, what do other people think, right? Your letters of recommendation. You know, can they speak about your future ability to be a physician? That kind of thing. So co-curricular activities become really important. And then again, as U of A is a Research One institution, we do have opportunities, and they are open to you, like Agnes was mentioning. So Blazer and Frontera are both programs that are open to students in Arizona or wherever. And basically what they focus on is health disparities, minority health, border health. And it's a 10-week summer program. If you qualify, they pay you, they have you on board. This year it had to go virtual because of COVID, but previously you're on the campus, you're assigned to a mentor, you're doing research, and you know, it's just a wonderful opportunity. And several of your student guests today have participated in these programs, so you might want to talk to them about it. So here's the information about the Blazer program, and I will be giving these handouts to Mona, and she'll get it out to you. And then this is Frontera. So clinical experience, you know, a lot of students ask me, so what is clinical experience? Well, basically clinical experience is dealing with people and patients, right? And shadowing is just that. You're following a doctor, you're talking to a doctor. What does a day in a life of a doctor look like? Is it something that you see yourself doing? So typically with volunteering and clinical experience, for the most part, those students that apply and are competitive will have anywhere between 2 to 3 years worth of clinical experience. But it's not like you have to have a ton of it, like you're doing 30, 40 hours. You're looking at maybe 3 to 5 hours a week consistently, and showing that you have this interest throughout your application, right? So that clinical experience is one, to reinforce this is really what you want to do. Two, you want those folks that you're working with saying, wow, they're going to be a great physician, right? And write that letter of recommendation. And the other piece, as you heard, the personal statement becomes really important because you're going to talk about your personal experiences. And that's why it's called a personal statement. You don't just answer the question why you want to be a doctor. And Dr. Preek just mentioned, hey, you take it to the next level. You draw in your personal experience and line that up with what you indicated in your answer. It takes it to a whole nother level. What did you learn? What was a takeaway message when you had this experience? 10 different people could have the same one and they all walk away with something different. And so it's how you convey that, how you're going to carry it forward. Again, as an undergrad, you are demonstrating to an admissions committee how you're going to be in medical school and how you're going to be as a physician in the future. So summer programs, volunteering, and shadowing is really important. And Agnes talked about this. I can't hammer this one home enough. It's only open to freshmen, sophomores. A lot of students fall through the cracks. Again, we have some students that went through the summer program, so they can talk about it. But there's 12 sites across the country, Columbia, UCLA, University of Washington. If you qualify, they pay you, they fly you out. You're on the campus of a medical school, and it's just a great, and I would say transformative experience. If you've never traveled or you're first in your family to go to college, so that application opens up on November 1. We at U of A actually do a summer program workshop. So we present all different, workshops as far as summer programs, and we bring in students to talk about that. So it opens November 1. The deadline's like February 5th, and they'll let you know by March. Only open to freshmen, sophomores at the time that you apply. So if in this fall you are still a sophomore, but in January you'll be a junior, you could still apply. So it's by the credit numbers that you have. Community college credit, a lot of folks always ask, does community college, I heard that I shouldn't do that. And that's not true. You can definitely take community college credit. That's not a problem, because by the time you apply, you'll be at a university like GCU. You'll be taking upper division 300 and 400 level courses. So, if you start out at a community college, there's a lot of reasons, financial reasons, travel reasons. Like right now, a lot of students stay home or close to home because they're at a community college and they don't want to, go into the university right now. But yes, community college credit is wonderful. Some students do an associate's. With an associate's, you have an AJAC in there. So again, I would default to your pre-health advisor to make sure that you knock off all the courses that you need. So again, as I mentioned, I can't emphasize this enough. Aside from grades and test scores, they really want to know who you are by clinical and volunteer experience, letters of recommendation, that personal statement, tell your story, because they don't know you. For the most part, a big portion of those that apply to medical school have parents that are doctors and lawyers, and they've known this all their life. But if you're a student who, let's say, is first in your family to go to college or come from a very rural area, you may not have those connections. And so sometimes, academically, things can get challenging in that respect. So you definitely want to tell your story, and don't take anything for granted. Every applicant is uniquely different, and don't assume that someone else is doing exactly what you're doing, because that's where your story is going to be very uniquely different. And the pre-health advisor and anybody else can help you draw that out, because sometimes we do take things for granted. And the interview, you heard the College of Medicine Tucson and Phoenix both do MMIs. And Ismael mentioned, yeah, we do mock MMIs. We're practicing the virtual ones. So definitely you want to stay in touch with your pre-health advisor. The MCAT, what is it going to cover? It's going to cover a little psych and soc. So if you're a freshman, it makes sense in your general education to take psych and soc, so you're not taking economics or anthropology. But it's something that you can tick off on your degree and then also prepare to take the MCAT. Has a little biochemistry, some statistics, and some physiology. So when you take the MCAT, you want to take it when you're most prepared. It is going, the notifications have already gone out saying that the MCAT dates will be released. And I believe it's going to be in early November. And so January dates and I believe through March are going to be opened. And so if you're planning to take the MCAT soon, don't wait. I know that we had a story in our office as far as the MCAT was concerned. We had a student who took the last seat that was in Guam. They had to fly out to Guam because all the Arizona and everywhere else in the US was taken. So if you're going to take it, you want to register for it early because those sites close up pretty quickly. But definitely utilize, any resources that you might have. Definitely use the AAMC website for their practice exams and MCAT materials. If you're applying this year, apply for the financial assistance program. If you qualify, they waive the first 20 schools. They'll send you MCAT material. They'll substantially discount a lot of times your secondary fees. So, this is the time when you would apply for the financial assistance program. So the MCAT is going back to the 8.5 hour during COVID this year. It was 5.5 hours. It's going back to the 8.5 hour exam. So be prepared for that. So this is what I slid this slide in just recently, actually, while presenters are talking, but this is a AAMC website. When they reevaluated what they were looking for in medical students, all the medical schools got together. These are what we call the pre-professional competencies or core competencies or attributes that you heard earlier. Anytime you're writing your personal statement, your interviews, they're trying to get at this information. No doubt they're trying to get in your thinking and reasoning competencies because that's demonstrated through your classes and how you critically think, your science competencies, but these other pre-professional competencies, they want to know what is your service orientation, your social skills, your cultural competency, your teamwork. So all these areas are on the AAMC website. And again, my handout will be given to you, but this is the site and you can take a look because they're trying to figure out, are you a good fit for our school? And do you reflect any of these competencies that we look for in a medical student and a physician? So this is very helpful. I always encourage students, network and find out as much information as possible. This UC Davis conference is one of the biggest conferences across the country. It used to be held in person. It's going virtual this year. It's free. When it was held in person, there were 10,000 pre-meds that went to UC Davis. They had all these different medical schools that were there. It is virtual. It is free. There's no reason why you shouldn't go to this conference. And it's on a Saturday. So I know pre-medders don't like to miss class. It's on a Saturday. So share the word. It's a wonderful conference. This is the other piece of getting engaged. So, what does your pre-health journey look like? And hey, look, you got 2 speakers. These are my ambassadors and Ismael is one of them. And this is just some advice that they give to students. I've known Ismael since he was a freshman, so I just outed him. But wonderful student. The thing is, it is your journey. It is your pathway. Do it when you want to do it, but surround yourself with people like today, your speakers, who can help you, right? So if you have any questions, my information will be sent out also. I love working with pre-health students. You guys are amazing. And if there's anything that I can do to help, if you want me to review your personal statement, I'd be thrilled to do that. But, surround yourself with people that can help you. Your pre-health advisor is really central to that. And definitely utilize them and utilize your faculty. They're amazing also because many are very, very familiar with the pre-medical process and can give you insight. But you want someone to be honest with you, right? Even if it hurts your feelings, it's okay because you guys are amazing. And tell your stories and, be ahead of the timeline and, if I can help. So any questions for me? No, okay. Anything in the chat box? Nope. So my handout will be going to you. So if you do have any questions, contact me. Your campus is amazing. It was fun to work with you guys a few years ago.
Thank you, Josie. So that was a lot of information. Luckily, it's been recorded. I will send out the presentations. I'm going to say good night. I'm going to leave and allow the students to talk to the students. Ask your questions, get your answers. Thank you, students, very much for, staying on. I hope you all have a good weekend. And you've got our contact information. Connect early. Connect early with folks that you're interested in. You've got all of us. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So Noel, yeah, I don't know if you guys want to stay on. I know you guys are students too. It's late. We can certainly leave our emails for questions, or if you guys want to stick around, it's really up to you guys.
Yeah, Noel, I reached out to your pre-med email. Feel free to reach out or share that to any of the pre-meds. Definitely willing to respond to any questions you guys have.
Perfect, thank you. We'll go ahead and get that information to students. I guess we can do like a mixture of a thing because a lot of us, I know, have tests and some people left because they had meetings and X, Y, and Z. So if anyone has questions now, we can go ahead and ask them, and then all the other questions we'll direct them to you guys.
I do have a question actually. So I know there was like someone posted the GCU Pre-Medical Society email